Thank you all for coming. My name is Joe Brazell. With me is Randy Lagoon and Mitchell Genie, who's also a principal in this development. We have had a hearing in front of the planning board. Some of you may be aware of that. Some of you have been in attendance. We have made a number of changes, and we've undertaken a number of things to address things that came up that night, and a couple other comments that we received from the town of Albany. So we wanted to take this opportunity to explain the revisions to the plans that we made, talk a little bit about the job, give people who may not have been in attendance that night an opportunity to ask some questions. The project, as you're looking at here, is the only part of this job for which the rezoning is sought. There are some other parts of the properties, and I'll identify them. The easiest place to start is with the funeral home, which is right here, okay? That funeral home and the house behind it are owned by Ms. Lagoon. The lot, however, extends all the way back. And the houses to the north and then to the south also extend all the way to the back. When we first started this project, it was only with the Lagoon property, which is a funeral home, the house, and there's one other house right here that presently exists. It's boarded up. I drove by it again today. To just use that project, maintaining the house and maintaining the funeral home, and putting the units that we're talking about in a smaller area behind it. The comments we received from the planning department at that time is they said they would like to see us expand it north and west to take the rear portions of those lots. They had a concern that somewhere down the line somebody may try and subdivide those lots or add housing behind those lots, which were very deep but very narrow. There is an unbuilt subdivision to the north over here. When you drive by it on Albany Avenue, you'll see the woods. That lot actually extends all the way back to Meadow Lane. And this lot and that lot come right in the middle on Meadow Lane. Meadow Lane, when it was laid out, as you can see, the curbing doesn't exactly turn all the way around. It bends around and it opens. At the time it was built, it was what we call in the business a tap street, which meant that it was designed to have somebody extend that street down to Albany Avenue. That was years ago. So we went out, and it took us about 10 more months, but we were able to conclude arrangements with the other property owners. We revised all our plans. We filed an application. That's the application that, the revised version of which is you're looking about now. To briefly touch on the out parcels, there is no change whatsoever on the funeral home property. Nothing, zero. The only change on Ms. Lagoon's residence is she no longer will have to drive through the parking lot of the funeral home to get to and from her home. She will be able to access it from this access driveway, which is part of this lot. The other three houses, 2, 3, are unchanged. They will stay as they look today on Albany Avenue. Remember, those lots are about 690 feet deep. All of the existing lots are oversized for town zoning, 19,000, 19,000, 11,000. So they remain oversized lots. We could have tried to maximize and taken more land. We left it, so they have nice deep backyards for the individual homeowners. They are part of the application, but there's no changes on that part of the application. But whenever you touch a piece of property, it gets lumped into your application at the town hall. So they are seen. The remaining area, let me just get my notes.
So who owns that land?
This is not, right now, each of
the lots, those lots.
the homeowners will remain the owners of those lots, except the rear portion of those lots is being transferred away. They will each keep their homes.
So all that space that's out there.
You mean in
Right.
this area here?
Essentially what they're doing.
They maintain their houses. They maintain these 19,000 square foot lots. There is a covenant imposed that they can never subdivide those lots at any time in the future. So what they wind up with is rather
Big backyards.
they wind up with very big backyards. And the only area where we're proposing to build on is about 3.6 acres. But if you read any of the documents down at the town hall, they will tell you our overall lot area is a little over 6 acres. But that's because we include Mrs. Gantre's residence, the funeral home, and 3 houses. So that's where those extra numbers come from. The only,
Last time, excuse me, can you explain last time that land there, actually, that was being bought by you as well, and maybe for future, adding on to
you
it?
mean this?
Yes. That's what said at the town meeting.
No, I mean, it's not,
That's
in
for
fact,
second-
it's
for
quite
second-
the opposite.
This is for the second phase
This-
operation.
The second phase, after, maybe there was a miscommunication. The original application was for just this lot and this lot all the way back. The planning department said, we want you to add the additional backyards of the adjacent homes. We added this, we added this, we added this. These 2 lots here have no access to that, would be prohibited from having access to that. Have covenants on them that say there could be no further subdivision. We have no interest in them.
I mean, that doesn't really bother me, I'm just saying that's what was at the meeting, that was the second phase to this project. And
No, there's
we
no,
were talking about building a clubhouse maybe for the residents there, and that would be the area you might put it at. I mean, it's pretty detailed, that's all I'm bringing it up.
I mean, that's,
The
I
clubhouse is
don't,
within that same.
the clubhouse is right here,
radius
it's always been here.
Well, I'm just going by what you were saying.
I don't remember saying that. I have my actual notes from the hearing, I typed presentation
Well, it might have
elements, I
been
took
either
it
at the
down.
meeting or that, we spent a good amount of time afterwards talking in the hallway.
And
we just
outside
talked
as well.
outside That night, so.
I mean, there's no, now there is
We
a
did talk
road,
about that meeting.
the only future thing that is on this plan,
That's the old plan, Harmony Drive, and that's the 6 houses.
correct. The town did make us show a potential future connection into that road. You do not see it on this plan, but
Yeah. So-
when Harmony Drive goes in,
It's on the blueprint.
we have to be able to connect our facility to Harmony Drive, because there, the roadway of Harmony Drive is on our lot line.
Now, are you trying to buy that lot as well?
No.
Which means somebody else could buy.
Someone else owns it right
Somebody else
now.
owns it, it's an approved subdivision, it's been approved for many years now.
It was set to build 6 houses, it was getting signs out there way before this.
Yeah, no, it's
Trying to
been-
do the
it's-
housing market bust.
It's an approved job, we have no interest in that job. It is an approved job, there's a street on a subdivision map that's already
But
shown.
the important thing about that job, what it shows 6 homes, 6 luxury homes that they were going to put on that site, which was acceptable because they were trying to build residential homes for land that's already residential. Okay, so it was zoned for that. They had plans, blueprints. I saw the plans at the town hall. It's Harmony Drive, 6 homes, 4 would back in the yards to houses on Jeton, and 2 would back in the cul-de-sac right there, and my neighbor's house here. So that was, that was acceptable to do something
In the
like that.
final analysis, I can only tell you what we're proposing, what I've tried to do to address the comments I've heard, and what I can do to address any other comments. In the final analysis, your position is simply that anything other than single-family homes is not acceptable to you. I can't make you change that position, okay? That job is approved. One of the things the planning department noted when we first met with them is Long Island generally is overstocked with single-family housing. That the non-single-family housing ratios on Long Island in general are off. This type of a complex is going to pay.
Amityville has putting in apartments, not just, we're talking Long Island in general, then we can go out to Montauk.
You can talk about the town of Babylon.
We're
I've seen the
talking-
studies. There's only a few areas of Long Island that are actually closer to where the national average is. Long Beach would be one. Hempstead would be another one.
Well, that's just a lot more congested in Suffolk, so we should use Suffolk County
If you want to go into Suffolk, you're really not going to see those
And
kind
you
of
also know this
ratios anyway.
proposed project that's further advanced than yours, that's on Route 110 in Breffany, by where the motorhomes are at.
Well, it's trail,
That's
you know, that's a different project,
I know
that's
it's
a
a
trailer
project,
home
but
at
it
this,
also-
at this point.
And you have a nice project down there in the water in
In
Copay.
Copay.
Hidden Harbor,
Yeah,
right?
Mhm.
that's a 34-unit luxury apartment,
38.
38.
But then you
So-
want to put this
What is this?
in Amityville.
Well, let me
It's gonna be
finish for the
it's
sake
gonna
of
be
everybody
beautiful
else's
when I
here.
get done with this.
The,
No,
the,
it's not about-
It's not about that. It's not about the beauty, it's about our homes and how
look,
this
I
affects
respect your fact to
our
have your
homes.
opinion, but for everybody else who was here, I think they came to hear some things.
Yeah.
You're not obligated to accept what's being proposed, you have your right to your own opinion, but I think everybody deserves to see what's here. They may have another comment that I may be able to address that, because we've done a lot of these things to this plan since the last time it was here, okay? We improved the landscaping significantly. The planning department had originally wanted a 5-foot buffer along this lot line. That's one of the things we talked about. We've increased this buffer now, and you can see there's three rows of plantings in this area that we've now increased 5 feet to 20 feet with 3 rows of plantings, so triple stacked, all the way across this lot line. There was another issue concerning what gate would be at this part of this. Now, this is not our entrance. If we had our own choice in the matter, we close it off completely. We don't feel that we need it at all. This is plenty wide with 1 entrance lane and 2 leaving lanes. The town said they wanted an emergency access lane on top of it. This is where they elected to put it. We actually went out there and found a decorative estate type gate to put on that entranceway. And the fire department would have a key to it, so they can get in and that's it. You'll notice also, it doesn't queue up to any of the parking or drive aisles of our site. We went beyond it. This is turf block. Turf block means it's grass, but a vehicle can drive on it. So if the fire department needed to come onto the site, they could. But it's not a general purpose gate. We don't think it's ever going to be used in all candor. But the town wanted it there, so we're going to put it there. In addition, when this road comes in, we can connect to it. But right now, it's not there.
That plan is dead. I mean, that's been dead. That's not.
It's an approved subdivision. It's not built, but it's an approved job. Somebody could go out and
That
permit
was
it
the
anytime they
before
want.
yours is ever mentioned, and you're a lot further along than we ever got.
They took that, they took that to map approval, which means they can build that subdivision at such point as they deem ready, or sell it to somebody who would. But they are holding it. I do not know why, but they are holding it. But whenever they would build it, whoever would build it, we have an ability to connect to it. We improved the landscaping elsewhere along the perimeter of the site. We improved it a little bit at the entranceway. The planning department wants us to dress up the clubhouse area. You'll notice the clubhouse area is internal to our site. It's not on the periphery next to any kind of housing. We were also asked about the security plan. We provided a security plan to the town for their review. It's camera monitored 24/7. So there's a company which has already done an investigation of this site, proposed a plan to how to monitor it, and they will monitor it 24/7. And they hold tape for 30 days after any particular day. So if anything were to happen, it's all recorded.
The gate that, excuse me, the gate that you're gonna put up, is that something where, you could see through the gate? Is it people who are in those apartments can look into our residential area
The
and
gate
see?
right now,
Or
you
is it a
can-
vinyl,
you-
solid fence?
It's not solid. Could I change it to solid? I think I could. I have to go to the fire department and check on that, but I'm not, I'll build whatever kind of gate somebody may want.
And how high is it?
6 feet, there's a limit on 6 feet. I can't build any fencing over 6
It's
feet.
an estate-looking fence, open, cast aluminum scallop with brick piers, or cultured stone piers.
So-
And
So no one can squeeze in there but you can.
What about children? Are they,
No, it's like on a deck, it's 6 inches, 4 inches picket on the center. You can, no way you can get through there. It's like an estate-looking fence that you have in your backyard, but 6 foot.
6 foot is the town code limit.
so your maintenance vehicles to maintain your property, are they going to be using that gate as
No,
well to be
everything
coming
comes-
through if that's?
Everything comes and goes from the front access way. This is for the fire department only if, and ever if, they had the need to. And they would only need to do it if this whole way, wide enough for 3 vehicles, were to be blocked to the point where they couldn't get in. We don't see that happening.
Is that a breakaway fence? You mentioned at the meeting, it was a breakaway emergency fence?
The fence from the planning board has been, the gate has been changed from the planning board. At the original planning board meeting, it was the typical gate that the traffic safety department wanted, which is a general aluminum fence type of a crash gate. The comments we heard was that's not very attractive along the streetscape on Meadow Lane, so we changed it. The fire department can absolutely get through it, but now it's far more visually appealing than the gate traffic safety originally suggested that we put in. We actually had the architect go out and find one, and then we needed to get it approved that the fire department that it was acceptable to them. Because if it wasn't acceptable to them, and it wasn't acceptable to the town's traffic safety people, we couldn't do it. We did that. We took a look at the height of all the buildings. Every single building is under the height requirement set out in code. We don't need variances for the senior citizen aspect of the job. We dressed up the entranceway to satisfy the planning department as we came into the site.
This that gate is not a crash gate any longer, it's a state fence, or it is?
Yes, it is. If you want to, give you a call, I'll send you a cut. If you want to shoot
No, I
me
just
an
understand
email.
the crash gate. You explained it at the meeting, you explained it again, I was told
That-
it's like
that's
a
a-
one-way crash gate, meaning?
That is exactly what it was at the planning board hearing. Since that time, to address the comments of making it look more decorative
Yeah,
and
I'm
attractive, we upgraded
The
it.
functionality.
I can, the gate will continue to function if you want. I can.
Is there a lock on it?
Yes, there's a lock, fire department has a key. If you want to see exactly what that fence would look like, I'll give you a card, you shoot
When
me
you
an
said the
email.
word crash gate, does that mean vehicles without unlocking it can drive through it? Is that the whole purpose?
No.
It's supposed, I thought you had, well, I'll just go back to what I thought you had stated, that it's supposed, it swings only one way,
It's a different gate than that planning board.
different gate.
It's a
No,
completely
aesthetically
different, it's a completely different gate.
So it's not working as a crash gate anymore?
It's working, the gate is designed to let the fire department in when the fire department wants to come in. It's not designed that they're supposed to ram it. They can get into it, they can cut the lock if they want to cut the lock. That's the kind of gate but it's designed to serve the same function, but be a lot more attractive.
The reason I bring it up, because you said crash gate at the meeting, is that when you go from the Skylark, not Meadow Lane, but let's go for the purpose of this, you say Meadow Lane. Okay, when you crash through that.
No one's gonna ever crash through
I'm
that.
not saying, but the point is, you only crash in this way. It's supposed to stop any cars from being able to crash the opposite way. The reason I say that is because kids play, including my kid, her children.
And a lot of children in the
Your
neighborhood.
The residents of these
Playing
units
that,
and the public generally do not have a key to that.
No, I'm worried about key, I'm worried about.
It's not designed to be,
cars
it's not
that
designed to be
I'm worried
crashed
about a
into.
car.
It's not designed to be crashed into by anybody. It's designed that the fire department can have the key. If they really insist and they want to cut the lock, people can cut locks. But they will come in and that's it. For a car to come out this way, remember they're actually coming onto grass through this particular period
I'm
of
worried
time.
about
The
their
gate is
maintenance.
it's not designed to withstand an impact. In other words, it's not designed to bust open if a vehicle hits it. It's not a crash type gate.
Well, that's why I thought it was something set up where it could only crash one way. That's why.
It's
I mean,
not
that's
designed
explained. I
to
know
be
it's
crashed
different,
in
you're
either direction, right? It's just not designed for people to drive vehicles. You know, if it's,
I thought that's the whole purpose of a crash gate. The
it's a
definition of
different,
crash gate.
it's not a crash type gate. It's a different type of.
We
We
improved it.
replaced the gate
You
completely.
improved the look of it, I understand that, I'm talking about the functionality.
The function, the gate will allow the fire department
When
in
you
and
started
out.
at the meeting, it was a one-way crash gate, meaning.
That was what the
car
That
trying
was
to
what the
crash
town-
the other way, they can only go in from the cul-de-sac into it and crash that way. Any car trying to crash the other way is supposed to be set up where it will not go. It can only go one way. And
It's
that was-
not, this gate is not to be designed to be crashed in either direction.
Does it only open one way? Does it open into your development, not out towards,
We didn't
does
design
it-
the hinges yet, but yes, we can, it's designed for entrance only.
And what about the type of fencing around it? I didn't know if you discussed that, I came in late.
It's black vinyl with slats, 6 foot, chain
So
link,
it's solid,
solid.
just
And
solid.
again, 6 feet is all we can do by code.
And we can run that solid right through the crash, well,
Other than the
we
gate
call it the
itself.
crash gate. Well, we can put the slats right through the estate looking fence, if they allow it.
If that was the determination that was reached, we'll go back to the town and the fire department and get them to okay it, and if they okay it, that's fine. We don't feel this gate's ever been used by anybody for any purpose.
You don't know the area.
What I know about this site, and what I
Actually,
know
the
from
state
this
style gate,
business is
the state style gate, just to go back to that, where you got the new one, you said slats, so basically somebody can hand something through it, right?
It's a regular estate looking fence.
I know, I mean, I've seen different estates, I mean, it's cast irons, the fancy ones.
This is cast aluminum, so it doesn't rust, maintenance
But
free.
somebody can put their hand through past it.
Yes, correct.
All right, so going back to, so that can be a spot where people could congregate.
Remember, this is gonna be an occupied facility, these are senior units.
People don't care about that though. This is Amityville.
Maybe we should get to the big.
And it's gonna be monitored 24/7 by video camera.
That's,
And it's
There's
not,
actually a little bit more security there now, and there will be than is currently there.
remember,
There
this
is no
is,
security there now, it's
it's
just open
woods.
woods.
yeah, it was time to dance for it. People used to cut through there at times. I used to
They don't
be
do
cut,
that
they don't do
Don't
it
do
anymore
that
because it's too
anymore.
dense to cut through anymore. So those days are over. I know I've been there 8 years, so I used to see it. It's very infrequent, but it did occur. My wife, who grew up in the neighborhood since she was a child, she's doing 40 years. There used to be a place at one time. It used to always be cut through, but it's a lot less
It's not
dense.
like that
It's more
anymore.
dense, the woods over there. Nobody could walk through there and do it. I've been back there, I know.
I should think that if
But now
the
we can
security
clear it.
cameras and
We can
residents
clear
on
it.
this site, if somebody's gonna come through anywhere, they're gonna cut through over here.
No,
This is
that's
still an
woods.
open wood site.
That's woods, they wouldn't be cutting through there. That's not the cut through, there's no street to go to. So the cut lane was to come off Albany, cut
You
through
would
the
have,
property.
to get through here, you would have to climb a fence while you were recorded on multiple video cameras, make your way through a complex that's completely that's occupied, then make you way down through more video cameras.
Are
and
there
out
gonna
to over
be video
here.
cameras at that area right there where that
Yes.
gate is?
24/7, correct.
Where are they set up now on that blueprint? Can you tell?
This is not
point
the
to me
security,
where the-
this is not a security camera plan. I can show you if you want, but this plan
Yeah,
it doesn't have every bit of detail, in the same way it doesn't have any drainage on it either. You know, there are things that you don't see on here because there's different
That's the
sheets to a
landscape
site
plan,
plan.
right?
I'm sorry?
That's the landscape issue.
That's the landscape plan.
It's not the spec, actual specs.
No, it's spec, it's
Yeah.
absolutely,
But I'm
it's
saying that's the
absolutely
landscape,
spec,
it's
it
not-
doesn't include every detail on the site plan package, remember?
When I
The
said
site
big
plan
blueprints,
package may have
I said
10,
the big
12
blueprints,
sheets.
so that's, you know.
This is the exact sheet taken out of the package, other than the color.
Yeah.
The coloring was added for the purposes of tonight. It's dimensioned exactly as it would be on the town plan. The locations of everything that you were seeing are the same. These little car icons and the green and stuff.
The issue with-
The bushes are here on the plan, they're just not colored green.
How tall are the bushes along that back area? Do you know how tall they're gonna be when you?
Typically, they're
put them in?
planted at about 6 feet when they grow up from that. They're sawtooth pattern, which means that, you know, you plant one row staggered from the other so that at the gaps between the trees on one row,
But
you
for
have
the
another line
effective
planted
barrier,
behind
you're
it.
talking years for it to grow. 6 feet, that's a small plant.
Well, there's some trees in there that are, I believe, 12 to 14 foot.
So you need
Deciduous trees.
To the
It's gonna
extent
be
we can-
large trees and then evergreens planted underneath.
It's not that many large trees that do, you know, like seek to be left
It's
over.
a typical requirement in Babylon
Unless you
that
want
to
to
the
fall
extent you
into-
have mature trees, you keep them.
You're not gonna keep any tree that can land onto the side of that property.
Like what?
You're not gonna keep any trees that can possibly land onto the side.
There's no trees back there that are,
Right, there aren't any
There aren't any.
substantially good trees on that buffer at all.
no, there aren't,
There isn't, I know.
yeah.
We walked, I walked all that.
That would all cleared out. But I want to address your security, because you made a big presentation with the five-star security. The security issue to many of the residents is the place itself, and since you are maximizing that space, correct? You can, 1 second, 81 units. That place is, that land is, max is 85, so you're at 95% capacity on 800 square foot, 1-bedroom units. You are therefore packing in, basically making what I call a glorified motel. You're selling to renters. You're only going to get a type of clientele, a low-end clientele. There will not be any high-end clientele.
Actually, we're on the town density in two ways.
You're at 95%.
For the no, no,
You're at 90% units.
we are,
95%.
we are, with the dense, Babylon allows 25 units per acre on senior housing. We have under that.
You're at,
And
what's the max you could put there, 85? 85 units? That's
if
the
we
max.
wanted, we've had other versions of this plan that showed more units. If we wanted to push, we would push this line over here, take
But I
that
thought
additional
that's
line,
what I
but we're not
thought.
doing that.
Yeah, but that's what you said at the meeting before. That's why you knew that.
I did not say that at the meeting. I don't know how, if you heard
Well, how did I
that,
know that?
I did not come out of my mouth. I never, ever said
You made
that
the
there was a
presentation.
phase 2 on this plan. I never have. There is no phase 2
There was a
on
phase
this
two.
plan. There is not a
Well,
phase
you
2.
I meant that.
I'm not trying to argue with you,
I
but I
know.
never said it.
But that, like either you said it outside.
I did
outside
not
the
say it
hallway,
outside
or we
either.
had-
I will say this directly, I'll say it to the camera. Those words never came out of my mouth.
Okay.
All right, let's move on.
Well, let me go back to
the.
the, so this going back to security. The security is the potential, okay, for this complex, which is way out of step with the rest of the community. You had people up in the Oaks, okay? They had purchased, those houses were $750,000 higher than market. Now they're selling between $485, $550, okay? People are paying $500,000 to live in that house. All right, I've been in that neighborhood, I spoke to those residents, they are all against. I'm sure you saw the petition, you have many signatures from that area. But you have to understand that you cannot put in a glorified motel offering single
I don't
bedroom.
think this is
No,
a glorified
It's a glorified hotel because
It's not.
if you were serious about keeping up with the standards of our neighborhood, you would build in luxury apartments like you have down there in Copac on the water.
I
Okay?
have to respectfully disagree with you. Let me talk for just a second.
No, this is-
Let me
this is my point.
let me bring up one point, because you said something that I don't think is true. You mentioned that it's a glorified hotel. It's not the case. Mr. Giannini has 2 units next to residential areas that are very similar to this. You mentioned one that was a high-end one. It's not fair to compare that. There are ones that are similar that he's made, that he's built. One is on, right over
Montauk
Railroad.
Highway, both sides.
Both of them are on Montauk Highway.
Which one?
Gale Grace Manor.
There's 2 of them, very similar to this, they abut residential communities, and they complement them, just as this will.
Well, that's like I said, this is 34-unit luxury. These are luxury apartments. These aren't luxury
No, no,
apartments.
no, no, no.
The job in Copac
We're not
is a
talking
different
about that.
job, and that is
What my
designed for
point is
voters.
that area is
Everybody
a
in
nice
that
area, and
complex
our
is
area
voters.
is a nice area, okay? Is that you're not, we're building, they were.
But why do you think this is going to be a glorified
Because when
hotel?
you attract the clientele, when you deal with renter mentalities, when you bring in.
I deal with rental mentalities on Gale Grace
You're
Manor.
assuming
You know,
something.
I'm the manager, I'm the developer, and I'm gonna oversee everything.
This area, you have it as 55 and older. There's no legal standing that makes you keep it that way. Okay, we had New Horizon. New Horizon used to be 55 and older, and they had a whole section now that anybody can get in. They did it after 2 years. I know that personally. My sister tried to get into that when it was first built. Her friend, the same age, when she was in her 20s, got into that complex just 2 years later. If you can't find enough people, there's not even enough people buying into 55 and older residents, okay? This is not like the Dominican Village. And that's the other point, because you did you invite Kevin here, the director there, with Watsinski?
The Dominican Village wouldn't be.
The Dominican Village is directly affected by this, okay? The cost to live there alone, just to pay their food, is gonna be more than your rent.
It's also assisted living.
It's
It's
assisted living,
not
But
assisted
you have
living.
to
No
understand that
healthcare
many of those
services are
people that
provided.
go there, that are put into that
These are
complex.
dwelling units. These
No,
are
no,
residential
you have to understand,
dwelling.
it's called reputation of area. It takes one one problem area. This is ripe to become a problem area in the area.
We would
Regardless
put
of
it
your
there.
security systems, it doesn't matter. This represents you're gonna bring in low income, it's gonna
Absolutely
bring in.
not. Absolutely.
No, listen to what I'm saying.
Absolutely not.
Section 8 is something being as you put, is 20% required, and you have,
I'll
that's
say this on
town,
the
that's
affordable,
town.
that's the town
That's, I
requirement.
know the
We
town.
have offered to the
But guess
town
what?
to
If it's
buy out of
residential-
that
If it's
requirement.
residential,
The
but
town-
it doesn't matter. It
The
doesn't
town
matter
will let
what.
us make an impact
Then it's
fee.
you, listen, we're going up against you and the town, okay? So the town wants this, town wants, we don't want the back end, you don't want it, the town wants it, so we're against the town. You don't want
I
to do
could go back,
20%.
if I went back to the town
You
and
don't wanna
said,
do
the
20%.
community would rather
You
not have
don't.
the 20%
But you have to
here,
understand,
and would
why
rather
aren't
you
you,
pay the
you're
impact
not
fee, I'll do it.
offering, we want homeowners, that land designated for homeowners. We want the same quality of home built.
But not to interrupt you, we could put homeowners in there, a low, cheap home.
Do it.
And get
Do it.
section 8 in there, so what? And then there's no,
Section 8
It's not
can't
getting-
buy
you
homes,
can't-
you
you
gonna
can't.
rent the
They can.
homes? Are you gonna rent them?
You didn't do that.
they can put section 8 homes, and
course
then
they
you
can.
got
That
no
would be up to
control.
Thank you.
Oh,
No, no.
You know?
This is,
That's
we're
residential.
gonna send
Over
the new
this you got
generation.
It's
control.
not going to be
You
a
know?
poor community. You're,
No,
I don't know
this
why
is
you're
not,
thinking that.
does this fit the thing, does this fit the area? How does this one bedroom, 800 square foot apartments packed in at 95%
There are
capacity?
apartment
fitting
complexes
into the area.
in
Not packed
in numerous communities.
Do you
in the
want
town
that in
of
your
Albany and
backyard?
elsewhere.
Did you
I've
bring-
run them in Lindenhurst.
Do I want them?
Michael
You don't
Lipton-
want that in
Michael
your
Lipton
yard.
did
I'm
appraisals
sure
for
you
you.
don't
Did you
have
bring
this
that
in your
down
yard.
here? Did you bring a
The
copy of the
appraisals
appraisal
on
from Michael
file at the
Lynch?
town of Albany. I didn't bring every document I have in my file.
He
It's in the
did,
drawer.
he did state that this would improve the value of the
There
community.
is not going to be any negative effect to anybody's home
All right,
value.
how
by
is it
virtue of
not,
this
how can that
complex.
be a negative? The negative effect is that what you're bringing in.
Because he
It
has
does not
examined,
fit the
he
area.
has
He
examined.
compared to what?
real
Thea
estate
Bowman's,
records.
correct? He used that as an example. Thea Bowman is run by Catholic Charities for disabled people. Okay, people with disabilities, blind, deaf, as quiet as you can be. I just drove through there today, okay? I can count the cars with one hand in that parking lot. It's empty. They might have full residency, but it's empty. It's always empty. That's the quietest place. Catholic Charity has his name tied to it. You don't have any name tied to this. They have a reputation uphold. That will never be a problem. Okay, we have Dominican Village. We got to clean the Holy Rosemary. Mary is the director over there, and she does not want this. The nuns do not want any type of property that can become an eyesore, that you can have people that live in other parts of our neighborhood. Listen, I'll tell you right now, my father back in the 70s wanted to buy into the neighborhood I live in now. Okay, my father's a Nassau County police officer, okay? He wanted to move his family out here, okay? He wanted to move into the house, the area I live in now. But you know why he did it? Because there's a place called The Block. The Block is right down the block, right on Albany and Great Neck, okay? That was one of the most notorious drug spots in Long Island. And Randy, I'm sure that you live over here, you
There's
know
no
about it.
there's no apartments there.
Okay, but what I'm telling you is that it got cleaned up. It got cleaned up, okay? It got cleaned up.
Yeah, but
It
it
took
has
a
nothing to do
long
with
way to go.
apartments,
But when you bring something like this is another Cloverdale waiting to happen. Cloverdale's right there in Great Neck.
Because
Drugs,
Cloverdale was
shooting,
supposed to be like this
thing,
years
okay?
ago.
No.
Cloverdale was 55
That's
and over
right.
at one time.
That's
Okay,
right.
that's what it was
That's
designated
right.
for.
They
But
bring
that's
families.
the town
We-
allowing them to change the
It
zone.
doesn't matter.
Yes, it does
We
matter.
don't have no protection against that. Once this is built, it's up and it's always gonna be there. Okay, this is why you cannot offer this type of living. To me, it's like a disrespect to the neighborhood. You can't put $800 or $1,000 rent apartment next to people buying homes right down the block for $500,000. You don't, in my neighborhood, one of the houses going for $400,000. Why would you build something like that in our backyard? That's not the clientele. You don't allow people who can't afford to live there and give them every opportunity to be up in your backyard with all type of nonsense. This is how problems start. Every community knows it, especially in black communities. We know this firsthand from other areas how they get designated. Okay, this is the problem that you're dealing with. It's not the fact that you want to build something back there. We are all for you building homes. Okay, we had no problem with the Harmony Lane Drive proposal being put forward.
In all fairness, you've said a lot.
I know, but you know, I'm speaking for a lot of
Continue, but
people.
you're monopolizing it now. You have to.
Everybody here knows, everybody here I know have to
When
do
he
an
So
said
area.
you're making some
As
assumptions
these
that we don't
families
necessarily
move
agree
in,
with.
it's not gonna, you say 55, that don't mean anything.
That don't-
Doesn't mean.
What's gonna
Their
happen
kids-
is when
their kids are
55
coming.
bring
You're
in 5 people.
You're all assuming.
No, we know.
That's what
You
happens.
do
That's
statistics
what
and that's what
happens.
happens.
It all depends
That's
on who
what
runs
Then
it.
you wanna tell you that.
It all
If that's what's
depends.
gonna happen there,
Yeah.
put them there.
Once
So
you put
one
something that
person
we are
becomes
out, we
5
have
people.
no control of the situation.
And then
You can do
everything
whatever you want. It can be non-designated. as not 55 and older anymore. Half the units can be for whoever wants to live there. 20% of that complex, what is that? 20-something almost
Because I
residents.
said I can get.
That's one whole block.
I
Now,
can.
you could take
Now,
one
you-
of those unit right
We
there.
can-
That's on
we
Section
can-
8.
That
I
can be
can
changed.
get, I can
That
get
was
the
in the letter
affordable
that we
housing
sent out
pulled
to you.
out of here and give the town an
Why
impact
did
fee
you,
rather than
why
put
would
the
you
units
think
in.
one-bedroom
That's
apartments are
what you need.
acceptable
And-
for that area?
Well, first of all, the idea of having one-bedroom apartments would be so there wouldn't be multiple families in the apartment. That was the idea of one-bedroom.
Or children.
So there wouldn't be children and families there.
My mother-in-law, her sister moved into the new ones on New Highway, across the street from New Horizon. She thought she was just gonna one bedrooms, they're one bedrooms, and you know what? Families are in there, their grandchildren, the children, they pack them in. And you know what, she can't do anything about it, she got them next
You
door to
cannot say anytime we
her,
don't-
across
this
on
doesn't
the other
happen.
end
No,
of her,
you
she
call
can't
the
do
town and
anything about it.
they gotta do rental and stuff.
Listen,
Well, then it's the town that's.
May I say something? You know, because this can go on all night.
Yeah.
But I think, and the reason why I'm here is because you call neighbors are concerned about this. And you know, I'm caught in the middle of this now. I know he's talking, he's like my son back there. You know, I love him. I love Marcella also. She's, you know, we've been friends for years. I understand what the community wants. When this community and the housing is all, it's like we take all of our income and put into these houses. Now, some people keep them up and some don't, because we could talk about some people in the community who are not taking care of these houses. And when your houses are assessed, we know they're assessed on the value of the last 3 houses sold. Some people are so anxious to get out, they undersell all of us. So we're the one who left is going to have to fight this. You know, they'll be gone. When they find out nothing is going right, they probably haven't put that much in the house anyway, they're going to be gone. So it's going to be us left here to fight this battle of the community and our taxes. Now we know, you know, we were discussing this. This has no impact on our taxes. I want stuff brought into my community that's going to help my tax rate. All right, so, but it's not going to affect that. It's not going to define it, because actually, when you get ready to sell that house, it has nothing to do with that. I mean, that's based on the houses that are there already and your value of those homes. But the noise level,
The pollution level.
wait just a second, the reputation, because once you say, I live on Albany Avenue and that, then, okay, you're close to this.
Yes. That's a
I
unique
think
part.
that's what, okay, because we're going to have to settle this. I think that's what people are concerned with. But you know, we can't look in the future. No matter how we sit here and plan, you can't define the people that's going to go into these units.
But you can define low income
But
housing.
you can define, yes, I'm getting to that. But you can define the type of house. Huh? Yes.
No, I was just saying that whether they bought the property, you guys bought the property, somebody else is going to it anyway. Well, they own it.
They own the property,
But we
right.
own some of the property, we don't own
Right.
Somebody else would have bought it anyway,
Yeah,
you know.
there's some people who would buy it. I just
Don't-
told myself, some people,
It's-
yeah, because we had a case
But you
like
understand,
that.
it's
Put
zoned
anything
for
in.
residential home, like
Yeah.
houses in the neighborhood.
Quite frankly,
Now this
They
has
have
to
to
be
get down,
zoned.
that these on to multi-family dwelling, senior multi-family
Okay.
dwelling.
But what would satisfy us as a group? I think we need to get to that, because they've done a lot of work on this.
Well, the towns, you know, there's no wavering with, you know, you had the petition, you saw over 90% of residents on that petition from 3 different areas, the Dominican Village, the Oaks, and Jefferson Estates all signed that, okay? You had hundreds of names all against this, including family members of residents from the Dominican Village who pay a lot of money to have their parents living up in that country house. Okay, it's butler service in there, and do not want to know. I just spoke to the person over there today, okay, and they're very clear, that there's no way they want their good operation that's quiet, peaceful, in any way impacted by this. This has the potential. I know we can't have a crystal ball, but what I do know is that when you offer low-income housing and you're going to put a snap dab in the middle of place of homeowners, it's not right. It's not fair to the homeowners. It's not fair to anybody. Everybody in the Oaks that I went to, second I told them about this, they signed within seconds. Oh no, I'm $15,000 a year taxes, and you're gonna try to build this? What is this? What is like almost blew their minds? Because you have to understand when they bought their
But
home,
you use
they
the
say,
word low-income housing, that you misled them, okay?
No,
you misled them.
it's 800 square feet. What are you gonna rent it for?
$1,200 a month.
That's low income.
That's low income?
You got people renting
But a woman or a single gentleman, that's all they can
In other words, you
afford?
prefer people in their homes to be renting out bedrooms for $200.
Listen,
Close to a
because there's a
$1,200
homeowner behind it. Okay?
Well, you gotta look at the
Regardless,
reality
listen,
of it
that's little,
This is a needed product.
This is not a needed
But
product,
what
not
made them
anything.
choose this
Okay,
area?
this is a moneymaker for you.
Because what it's doing is
okay?
bringing a lot
This-
of people into this area, a lot
The
of.
densities are actually a lot less than what the town code would allow.
It's 110 parking
It's a lot.
spaces. That's, you know, it's air pollution that is, okay? Not to mention all the houses in Bloom, I have to borders the back of that. Okay, I have children that play in the backyard. Okay, who wants to hear cars all day? Who wants to hear cars driving around in your backyard?
You put 3
Okay,
cars.
they're stuck out
The
with
trip generation.
The lights for the cars at
That is
night.
low.
You're talking 55
It's lower than
hours,
single
55
family
hours
housing.
working. But I have to,
Let's talk about
And we actually got
how
rid of
can
the
we-
parking spaces that were back
Let's
here.
talk,
You have an imaginary thought on this, I have to
you
tell you.
have, no, it's a reality.
No, it's not a
You
reality,
have
it's
to
your
stop.
reality, it's not a reality.
It's reality, everybody in the community.
No, it's not,
Okay,
it's your
this is a-
reality.
That's
It's not
a
just
security
his.
risk.
It's everyone's
Okay,
reality. This is
Everyone that
happening in
went
my
against
this
yard.
stretch.
was against it.
This is, listen, I should know, that I spoke to majority of those people that signed that petition. Okay, I had long conversations, right to people's homes. I will tell you point blank, if you want, I'm not just speaking speculative, I'm not just a person that signed it. I was out there pounding doors all night, okay? I was speaking to people in all parts of the neighborhood. I'm the one that went to the neighborhood, I got that done, all right? I spoke to the people there, okay? I'm telling you right now, okay, if you want to be respectful to the community, either you build something that's in accordance to the community. It calls for residential housing, you put something on there that's comparable to what's in my neighborhood, okay, what's in the Oaks, and that's what you build there. You're free to build, nobody's telling you don't build it. But you don't put low income, $1,200 is low income, Long Island.
How many
It's
times?
not-
I'm gonna tell you, people pay $200 a week to live in a bedroom. So that's $800 a month. Now you're $400 more, and you give them a full apartment and a
So
little.
we gotta pay electric and
And I
gas.
didn't get that math just then either.
I said people paying $200 a week to live in just a bedroom,
But
not
those,
even an
these
apartment.
people have their own.
In other words, you would prefer
parking. They have a
community that
community.
rents out their homes.
Listen,
$200 a month.
okay.
What I'm telling you is I don't want that
Here all
resident,
night.
those type of, I don't want that type of
But you know what?
transient renters. In
No,
and
they're
out.
not.
People
You
going.
It's a
continue to
2-year
label
minimum
things
lease,
that are not the
okay?
case.
How is it not the
You're making an
case?
assumption.
But this is-
What happened, why is the Cloverdale the problem is today, if it was 55 and older? Why is it a problem today? Something about that area? Why is it bad over there?
What area?
Cloverdale Apartments, why is it bad?
Because
Why
probably
is
the
that
landlord and
reputation?
them,
because of how
you
they
don't
look,
care.
because
They
of
don't-
how.
What's the
They don't
reputation?
What?
What's the reputation?
You have my reputation of
You also have
20
a-
years of owning rental
No, there's no
units.
guarantees, you're not.
There's no guarantees
You
of what,
say you could
exactly,
be
there's
going
no
on.
guarantees.
So that's why, as a
You have
resident,
my
this is
reputation.
why that's why the community stands up against this. That's why you have no
All right, let's move
allies on
forward,
this,
because
but
there's
the
no way of
town.
convincing this
All
gentleman.
right, well,
It's not about convincing me,
No,
I'm telling you,
Okay.
you're not convincing me.
He's
We rehashed the point, we understand where you're coming
Speaking for a lot
from.
of people.
He's important.
But he's speaking to a lot of people because he
No,
said
he's
only
speaking
one
for
side of
a
the
lot of
story.
people.
He only told
There's
What
one
he's
side of the
saying,
story.
You had other
he'd
people at
rather
the town
see you
meeting.
put houses in there instead of apartments.
Houses don't
Renters.
sell. How come,
Well,
that's
Those houses are
They're
selling,
all-
those
they're all sold
apartments,
over in the Oaks.
they're moving in.
They're all
Okay,
sold in
my
the
house.
Oaks.
Look at the community.
I think if
you were gonna,
What is the
complain about
alternative?
rentals, you should be complaining about the one that's possibly gonna be built
It's not single
by the
family.
federal government that's
Right.
really.
No,
But
no,
just-
no.
But I-
That's-
All the
that's
VA
what-
is
that's what
different.
that's-
VA, the veterans,
That's-
the
no,
veterans.
it's not for regular things, okay?
If this was in everyone's
No,
yard,
no.
like it is in Legion eyes, everyone would feel more the same
Okay.
way.
The
Veterans
veterans,
can't
that's
argue.
for veterans.
Make the buffers even
But-
more so I could look at, I could get the affordable units out of the job.
All right, but let's,
Pay the
I
impact
do want to
fee.
touch on one thing on your.
Let's touch on one thing before we
But I-
say yes, because you've said quite a bit. First, you said something about the affordable unit, and that's fine, we want you to,
Okay.
but we can't have you monopolize the whole evening though.
I'm
Uh,
glad you
First, because you made some things, you said some things that might not be accurate. First of all, we're able to take out the low-income component to it that the town had asked us to put in. That was not in our original plan, they asked us to put it in. we're able to get rid of it. Is that
The
correct?
town will let us pay an impact fee rather than put it on the complex.
What, since you said that, what town in Long Island, so any town you want, Roosevelt, Freeport, you give me one that's renting one-bedroom apartments for less than $1,000 a month.
This won't be for less than 1,000.
I'm just
It's not
asking.
gonna be for less than.
It's 1,200. All right, tell me one's renting one-bedroom.
Are you saying I should know what the rent rolls at Riverhead are off the top of my head? I think that's an unreasonable question.
Huh?
They're not being
I know what they
rented for
are, so I'm just telling you,
$1,000
there's no one-bedroom, this is the lowest you're gonna get, this Long Island, this is it. The people, you know, one-bedroom apartment, $1,200, that's where they start. No matter, that's where they start.
Then you get a different clientele.
Okay,
Like I said,
no,
you're
you're
gonna
not-
get a
If you're
different
gonna
clientele.
if you're gonna go for higher rental units, a bigger use, you're gonna have kids. Right now, this project is gonna pay money into the school district and not produce children.
Listen,
If you go to families, you're gonna have the need for demand on the school system. Right now, this
that's
is gonna pay a
exclusive to
lot
these
more in
kids,
taxes
actually.
than it's ever gonna
Exclusive to
consume
these
in
kids, they might
buildings
shut
and
down the
services.
school because of the schools. They're lacking kids, I go to the schools, I know what the problem is up there. It's not the lack,
I
it's
tend to
lacking
think that
kids.
no matter what I say, you're gonna leave
No,
my
it's
and say
because-
something
No,
different.
because you have a
Okay?
counter to everything that might not.
I don't think, you came here to speak and try and talk people out of the job. You didn't come here to listen, you didn't come here to engage.
No, I'm telling you what you proposed, and that you.
Yes,
Yes, that's right, you're telling me what I
Okay.
propose,
Why don't
you're
you give
listening
me
to what
patience?
I'm
I can
telling
tell
you
you.
about what I
But I
propose.
knew
Why don't you
It's
let
not,
her finish,
you keep
then you
using
can tell what
low-income
you
housing, and I
disagree.
keep saying no. You keep saying it's a
What?
crash gate, and I keep telling you no. Because I think you're trying to produce a videotape you can cut and paste and show to other people
No, don't cut
who
and
aren't
paste it.
here, or
Don't cut.
are trying to.
Not cut and pasting, okay? First of all, your straight line's time coded. All right, second of all, okay?
How would I know
Second of all, okay? Second of all, okay, I'll send you a copy, you can tell, we can time it, it's not a problem. But what I will tell you, okay? But what I tell you is that you presented this at the meeting, at the town meeting, okay? You made slight revisions, nothing changed. Okay, you basically, you saw a little wider buffer area, okay? It's not-
tripled it.
It was 12 before, it wasn't 5 feet, okay? It
The
was 12.
plantings were 5 feet.
Okay, but outside of that, the point is the issue that most
Plantings
people are
went from
concerned
5
about,
to
that you have to
15
be
feet, it was
aware.
tripled.
Listen, the thing you have to be aware of, okay, is that we see this as a potential risk to our community.
And I'm trying
Okay,
to
and it
address
doesn't,
that
it
risk
doesn't,
in your.
there's nothing that you can say, because we already know, we've seen it happen in other areas. We have examples in the community that has
Nothing that we
happened.
can
that-
say.
If there's
Why
nothing
don't
that I
why
can
don't you-
say to
What
make
would
you
you just-
feel any different than you feel, okay? There is nothing that you're gonna say in this room that will make this project suddenly
You
evaporate.
have an option to build something else. That's not an option on the table for you guys?
The option does not,
That's not an option to develop the land, to build homes?
for a
Homes
variety
don't
of
sell.
reasons, no.
Homes don't sell right now. Look, just look
All
at
the homes-
community.
all the
Look at
homes-
those homes,
all
look
the
at all
homes-
those
the homes,
things.
they're sold.
Wait, look at all those, look at the development, they're not being
There's
built,
no
there's vacant
I
land
just
over
drove
there.
through there. That's almost done.
I mean, I don't know, you.
They're
some
building them.
things
They're
are
building
reasonable.
They're building them to
Single
finish
family
the
houses.
finished
They're
product.
building them.
They're building them
I could
and they're
get
selling
this
them
to
as is if they're selling them.
And you
They're
dropped the
already
number
built.
a lot.
They're building them.
Listen,
Yeah.
They're not building, they're building them, but they're not building them.
You're saying things that aren't
because people
accurate.
purchase
Those
the
homes,
properties or the
that
lots.
land over there has been there for quite some time. They
Yeah.
can't put houses, they can't, nobody will buy the houses over there. The prices of those houses have gone down considerably because no one will buy them.
Well, they were at 750,000.
Putting homes there is not part of the
But
equation.
they're down to
It's
45, 55.
They're down to less than that.
I've spoken to, listen, that's changed hands like 4 different times. I spoke to almost each of the guys that owned it, who were running the operation over there. Okay, I talked to them about the issues over there. Okay, but overall, that community's come a long way in how it looks today. You drive through it now, it's night and day
Certainly
for
it's a
how
long
it
way
was
to
even
go.
a year ago.
But
Okay,
it
and
laid
there's a good
empty,
amount of homes
it laid
over there.
empty there for 20 years. Racanelli put the
Listen,
original
I've been in
roads
this
in.
neighborhood, I know exactly, those who just, the roads were laid down there, nothing but woods, and the roads laid through there
Right.
for years and years and years.
Right.
Okay, because the
Because
town.
single-family homes don't sell.
Okay, but listen, that doesn't give you the right to put these cheap
Then
one-bedroom.
actually, you're assuming again. You're assuming.
It's
You know?
How old is
$1,200.
the slaughtery
It's
estate?
12, what, how long, what's
Your comment, your
What
what
comments
would be
are
the low
insulting.
income housing in
Yeah.
Long Island? What's the price of low income housing in Long Island?
For an affordable unit, the town makes me reduce that price. If I had the units in here that were affordable, rather than buy out, which is not what we really want to do,